the one in Let's.
Oh, yes.
So I have already.
I think it should be competitive between
chatted.
you two.
Oh my gosh, are you? That is one of those that I have told him before. We need to do some sort of podcast or video that shows, because as soon as he will take stuff down, he will immediately begin to start planning
for the next year,
building and researching for the next year.
He does a phenomenal job. I enjoy those several times a year. Love them.
It's one of those businesses that I never even thought about, because he goes to conferences throughout the year, and it's all Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And it's people from all over the country. So he knows, he chats back and forth with people like in Michigan. Like Michigan is one of his areas that he goes to a lot. So there's a lot of people up in Michigan that do that as well. But like here in the state, he knows a lot, and like in Tennessee, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one of those things that's really neat. But for me, somebody that's always asking questions, I'm always like, what, like, how, why, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you went to the backside of it.
Yeah, so and sometimes he'll send pictures where he's like building a new structure where he's like, oh, next year I want to do this. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it, and it's just.
I feel like next year we're gonna see it at your house. I can't wait.
I don't know. That's
the girls are little. Like, this is the time.
We've got 2 inflatables that are in our garage that we'll plug in, and like they think that's great. So I'm like, cool. All right, that's good enough.
I don't think so. I think the lights are gonna grow.
I'm one of those that I go all out. So I have a feeling. I don't know if I'll do all of the timed where he like uses
that's
the
like very intricate.
I mean, that's where programming, and then it's hardcore.
I think just go old fashioned Clark Griswold, just light it up.
I mean, that's the one thing that's crazy is with the new LED lights. I mean, just one strand are so bright.
They are.
So I'm like, all right, because the one I talked to Jess, and I was like, the one thing if I did expand is maybe run it up along the ridge line, so then it just outlines the roof, and like that would be.
Oh, I think you need lines coming down the roof.
Yeah, I know. Well, that was my buddy already was like, oh, he's like, I get it. Yeah, he's like, here, he sent me all the stuff. He's like, because I asked him, I want it, so I'm very type A. So I said, I want it to look nice. I don't want it to look where it's just kind of
right. You want it
piecemealed. I said, how do I do it where it runs and it terminates and it's not extra lights? And so he's like, oh, you buy this type of wire, and then you're gonna have to put this. You basically make your own, and you just measure it. And he's like, that's like professionally how you would need to do it. And he's like, so yeah, I could send you stuff. Start basically in like January, and then as you move through.
It'll be ready by December.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And so, because I kind of started that conversation with him in October, and he basically was like, this sounds awesome. There's no way you're going to have it done. Like, he's just, he put up your normal and then start thinking about next year. So.
Well, we're excited to see next year then.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
If we get to it, I'll have to have pictures and all the things. But
yes.
It's just one of those.
You might make it on the Napoleon State Bank map one day, of lights.
Yeah, it's hardcore. I have it's watching what he does, and it's truly a passion. I mean,
it's very cool though.
Yeah,
yes.
it's very much a fun thing. So, how about you? Are you ready for the holidays?
I had not done so well on my shopping this year, which normally I'm like done, ready to go. So last Wednesday I was like, I got to just sit down and knock this out. So I did that. So the poor UPS and FedEx men are maybe working overtime right now. Yeah. But that's okay. I mean, it's working, and
it's so crazy to look at our generation with the ability to online shop now.
So great.
Because it was very much like when I was growing up and I was my girl's age, I knew the day after Christmas, one of the social events for my parents where they went with a few friends, Black Christmas or was it Black
Friday?
Black Friday
yes.
shopping, and they would be out at 4 a.m. until
all day.
Yeah, midnight.
Yep.
And that was, it just was the thing. And now I'm like, is that even like? Is
I don't think that's really still a thing.
Like, what is that?
So I think COVID kind of killed it. A friend of mine I used to go, and we noticed. So we would start in Greensburg, and we would hit like the Bath and Body Works. We always hit McDonald's on Thanksgiving night. You gotta have a little snack, and then go like Edinburgh, Columbus. Well, but then Thanksgiving night they started closing. Mm-hmm. The first year where the McDonald's was closed, we're like, ooh, well, we lived. But then I think the year after that, then nobody was really open Thanksgiving night, which I understand. It's a holiday.
Sure.
But then it just kind of like sales kind of went away, and you can get them online, and you don't have to fight the people. And then COVID hit, and it just it fizzled. It fizzled.
I don't remember. It was definitely pre-COVID, but you know, we live in close proximity to the Taylorsville Outlet Mall, and I remember one year the news running a story because the line went all the way up 65 for like a mile, where people were trying to get just. I was like that. I am that person that even at sale time, if I pay an extra $5 to grab what I need right at the front of the store and get out, like I'm about that, because I am not a shopper. Like
I used to be, and then it just fizzled in time, and I think part of it was COVID and part of it was the people, and then I was like, look, I can just do this, and it arrives at my house.
And my thing, I don't know, my thing is I'm very old school. I'm kind of an old soul at some level. So whenever I shop for presents, it's an intentional thing.
Yes.
So I try to listen throughout the year of like those that I do buy for, what are their interests? Like what are the things that if I'm going to give you something material, I want it to be impactful, not just because it was on sale. And sometimes it's a made thing as well, where it's like, or fixing something because I'm a tinkerer, and so that's the kind of stuff that I do versus the.
Yes, I'm with you on the intentional thing, and I like it to be very specific to the person I'm buying for, and so sometimes it can be a process, like to get to where I'm going. But
yeah, we definitely, that's one of those that I've gotten stuff throughout the year where it's like a July time, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to see this again, and you know we'll pick something up, and then I usually forget about it, or I'm also the worst gift giver where I'm like. Christmas, and then like a week later I'm like, look what I got you, it's so cool. And then I'm like, all right, well that was a Christmas present, it's July. So.
It happens, right? It happens.
So you know it's gonna be good. It's one of those that
we're ready for it.
It's gonna be here. It's crazy that I feel like we were just at the park for Halloween,
and here we go.
We blinked and we're 2 weeks away, and
we are 1 week and 2 days away, just in case.
Wow.
You wondered. Yeah, insane. It's going fast.
Insane.
Do you have, like, from childhood, like, do you have, like, a favorite memory from Christmas?
Boy.
I'm imagining Dennis Fogel singing, like, when you get up on Christmas morning.
I don't know that. I don't remember him singing necessarily.
I just see him, like, welcoming you to the living room. Santa has been here.
It was usually, I would say, like most parents, where they were always tired because my sister and I would bug them about when Santa would show up.
Yes.
So then we would be up like ripping
really
early, knowing that he had visited.
Yes.
And they would be like, go back to bed. He's been here.
We used to have a time. I think it was 7. Like you had to stay in bed till 7.
So that's where I'm glad our girls both are. They are not morning-ish people. Like Odie will get up early, but I think that even with him visiting, even with Santa stopping by, they will sleep.
They'll sleep a little bit.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't really know.
You have a favorite ornament or like tradition?
I guess I have memories of Christmas, but I don't know if it's those traditional things. Because the one memory that I do have that's very non-traditional that we joke about now, and I will say he's okay, is I was in college probably, and my sister and brother-in-law were home. We didn't have kids yet. They didn't have kids, so it was just the 5 of us, and my parents' house has a second story, and they have obviously steps, and it's kind of a smaller upstairs. So I was sleeping, and it was morning time, and at some point I heard somebody knock very faintly on my door.
Oh.
And like ahead of that, I kind of heard something, but I didn't think much about it. I just assumed Mom was getting up making breakfast, because she gets up and always like throws down in the kitchen. So the knock kept happening. I was like, what is going on? So then finally I was like, yeah, and my door opened very gently, and it was Mom, and she said, Chris, are you awake? And I said, yeah, I am. And she's like, okay, Dad fell down the stairs. And I kind of sat there for,
like you had to process
and I was
it.
like, what? And she's like, he fell like from the second to the top step down.
Oh my.
And like, so for those that don't know, like, I used to have my EMT, so I was like, what is, like, where's he at? And she was like, he's laying at the bottom of the steps. So I go, and he is wearing a hunter orange sweatshirt and like Christmas plaid pants, like sprawled out at the base of the steps. and at this point, I don't know what's going on. So I like rush down. I'm like, don't move. Like, are you okay? And he's moaning and groaning. And I was like, how far did you fall? And he's like, I basically went head over heels the entire way down. And I was like, so at the moment, it was very much,
it was serious.
It was serious. And at that time, too, my brother-in-law came down and he's like, what do we do? I was like, I think he's fine. Like, well, he'll be all right. So then Mom and I had a conversation. She's like, you need to be a little more like, hey, something happened. And she's like, well, I didn't want to frighten you. And I was like, I get it. So, like, that's one of those memories that, like, every year we talk about, and it's,
But Dennis is fine.
Dennis is good, and he was good that day, too. It was just one of those where we had just redone the steps and added some carpet to it, and they never had a runner on them.
Oh.
So I think between that and the sock, it slipped, and he just,
there he went.
He went down. So that's one of those that, like, it's probably not the traditional, and he might kill me for even saying that, but that's one that we always go back to because it's one of those memories that will stay with us because,
Always.
So how about you? Do you have those memories?
I did, like, Christmas was always magical and still is magical, right? Like,
sure.
So I remember being, I think 5 and I got a keyboard. Like, I can still see that happening.
That's true. I guess there are certain toys that I can remember. The memories that I guess I have are, I'm very much an experienced person.
Mm-hmm.
So my memories aren't, again, the material things. It's I have core memories of, like, going to my grandparents' house.
Yes.
And, like, when I still smell a wood fire stove, it's that instant, like, take me back to those
It's
points.
that trigger. That's
right.
My granddad was a Santa's helper for years.
Okay.
And so we were always very lucky on Christmas Eve that Santa would come and visit. He always got stockings with always very original things that my granny throughout the year would stuff in that stocking, right? So like that, and we went to my other grandparents on Christmas Day. Now we were always fresh tree people. Is Dennis on us?
No, that was my wife. But
oh, okay.
There is another.
I was concerned about Dennis.
No.
We always got a fresh tree when I lived at home. But my mom and I disagree on the type of tree you get. I think you should have, like, the firm, like, Christmas tree. And she liked that floppy, wavy Christmas tree type. So we had to alternate years on which tree you got. And I do remember one year it was my year and we got it, but it did not want to stay up. And so my dad had to take, I think it fell over like 3 times. So he had to take fishing line. And then he tied it to, like, the curtain, like the little curtain hooks to keep it up. Yes. So, we've had a lot of, we get dramatization.
That's so funny you talk about the tree. So at my grandparents, I don't even know whatever happened to the thing, but they had what my grandma called the Christmas bush.
Oh.
Because they wouldn't put up a full tree there for a while. It was like a tabletop Christmas, and it just looked like a clipping of a little bush. So we just called it the Christmas bush. And that was it. But while I was smiling a second ago, so one of the memories also as I got into my adult life, Christmas changed a little bit, obviously, because you become independent. And so it was a COVID thing where holidays it was just very different around that time. So I actually proposed on Christmas morning to Jess, and it was during kind of the beginning and height of a lot of things. But we do laugh about that. So leading up to us getting engaged, I always told Jess I don't know, I'm very much, it's not pranks, but I like to have people be surprised.
Yeah.
There's something about being surprised that in my mind is just fun. She's sometimes not as keen on the idea, but so I told her, knowing well ahead, I don't want her to have any idea, because it's one of those, like, when people are like, oh, we went shopping for a ring and he's going to propose this night. Like, I want it to be a genuine, like, so for months ahead, I mean, I strategized. I told her, like, I don't need the state to tell us that we're going to be together. Like, I don't care if we get married ever, like, whatever.
You really psyched her out.
Yeah, so I played into that well. Let's see, we had some friends, and it was probably the week before, it was right before around, they had a gathering at their house, a small gathering, and it was an engagement announcement. And it was a quiet ride home. I got a lot of passive hate that evening because Jess was like, oh, that's so exciting that people still get engaged, and it would be so nice. And at this point, I knew that I was going to propose. I'd already talked to her dad about it. And so the morning of Christmas, it snowed, and people had to social distance, so we didn't get the normal gathering, that sort of thing. And So we went for a walk on our property, and we have a fairly nice property. And one of the things we went down and sat on, we have a bench, and it kind of overlooks a very pretty area. So we were just kind of chatting, and I played maybe a very typical male where I started asking a lot of, like, I don't know, like girly things. I was like, let's say at some point we got married. Like, what does that look like? Where would you even want to do this at? And so I was leading a lot of questions, and because she had made a comment at times where she's like, I would like to get married on our property. And I said, okay. And I was like, looking at this property, like, where would you even, like, where would we do that at? Well, I don't know. I was thinking about right over there. And so then I kind of switched that point. And so that was one of the years it snowed quite a bit on Christmas.
Okay.
So there was a bunch of snow on the ground. So it was just it was a good, like one of those like Hallmark things. So we were sitting on the bench at this point, and so then I kind of went into the, that doesn't sound like a bad idea, maybe. Like, maybe we should think about that. And, so I kind of went into the, mushy of like, we always laugh together, and I got down on my knee. And I had psyched her out so much at this point that it didn't register.
She thought you were joking.
And, well, she didn't even think that. She just looked down at me, and she goes, are you okay? Did you just fall off of the bench? And I said, no, I didn't fall off the bench. And then I pulled the ring out, and then I, kind of said, this is one of those moments that I want to remember, and I want to ask if you'd spend the rest of your life with me, and I think that we should get married here. And of course, then the shock and all the things, and then ugly crying, and oh my God. So that's one of those Christmas morning memories too that happened. We still laugh about that because she looked at me very confused, like, how did you just fall off of a stationary bench? Like, because she did not anticipate that was going to ever happen. So
I love
that was one of those and it was really cool because it had snowed, and everything was just very nice. It was peaceful. So we just kind of sat down, and I sat down there and just enjoyed the moment. She sat down and ugly cried for like an hour, and I was like, pull it together, like, come on, like.
get it together. We got this. That's all right.
So that's one of those and that's kind of started our story a little bit. Now the girls can enjoy Christmas there, and
that's right.
Yeah, so it's that's where those memories to me now kind of a little bit outweigh our others. So it's good. It's gonna be it'll be a fun Christmas for us this year to experience all of the new that's happening now that Santa will be visiting us, and we'll get to have that. So
I hope you leave Santa good cookies.
I'm sure we will. We are we've already. I went home last night, and there was like 2 batches of like different cookies.
We got to practice.
Yeah. So he's gonna be doing really well for himself at our house. So
as Mark here says, there's no bad Christmas cookie.
That is true.
That is true, right?
That is, I think that's one of those memories that a lot of people have. It's always interesting, and maybe myself, is that we always made sugar cookies growing up, and now that tradition has carried over to my niece and nephew and my girls now with my mom, who she's got one of those recipes that everybody loves. It's a little bit, I don't know what it is about hers that are different than other people's,
they're just better, right?
They're just a little something, and but that's every year I know that when we get together, we do big batches of sugar cookies for just everybody to have, and so it's we've got those memories to make still this year. So
that's right. My granny made the best sugar cookies. So I was the first grandkid to go to college, and I was at Purdue, so I'd get cookies like every week, every other week. Right? They arrived. It was great.
Sure.
2 years later, 2 more go to college. Still get them. Another year later, another one goes. Well, let me tell you, the cookie supply got depleted. She's like, do you know what it's like shipping out 4 things of cookies? I'm like, I know, but I was first.
Yeah, that was where we were a little different. My sister and I were older than our closest cousins on dad's side by 6 years, I think, or something like that. So there was like a weird gap of experience. So we got a little different experience because we got our grandparents by ourselves for so long, and then when they came along, it was kind of like, wait, what's happening?
Kind of took some attention away.
No, I still exist, people. Like, I'm still here. Like, why? Like, who cares about these other kids?
That's right. Forget that. Yeah.
So
lots of good memories. So looking forward to this year. As we come to a close for this year, the Extension Office has a big 2026 lined up.
We do. We've already started full on with 4-H enrollment, so we are already looking forward to the fair. So I do know that as far as our enrollment at the current moment, so for those 4-H families that are listening, if you're not enrolled, please do so quickly and as soon as you can, just because we want to get that done. So for our club members right now, we have 97 that are approved, Clover Buds or the Mini 4-H, depending on, Mini 4-H
Yeah.
is the new moniker. We have 31, and volunteers we have 29.
Oh, wow.
So we are doing good there as far as our fair dates. So I know fair dates fluctuate a little bit with 4-H, but as far as the carnival side of it, the fair dates are July 9th through the 15th this year, so it's that standard kind of time frame. So I know that those will fluctuate a little bit with 4-H because we do check-ins a little bit earlier, we do project judging and stuff. So, but for those that kind of need to know, July 9th to the 15th is the carnival open to close,
Okay.
typical time. I know that Bonita's already working on open class stuff, so we've already started getting questions on what's going to be that specialty
Yes.
recipe idea this year. So this year it's going to be quick breads.
Quick breads.
Quick breads. So,
is this non-yeast then? Is that how?
Yep. So it would be banana bread is one class, zucchini bread, lemon bread, cinnamon bread, beer bread, other flavors of bread, so carrot, strawberry, chocolate, etc. And then a quick bread recipe that includes a mix or Bisquick in the ingredients. So those are going to be, so you
quick breads.
might start thinking about that and how, if you have that recipe that's kind of a...
You mentioned carrots. There's a carrot bread?
Oh, I'm sure. It'd be like a zucchini bread.
Okay. Yeah, I
So
didn't
it's
think of it that
probably
way.
where you would just, it'd probably be a little bit denser carrot cake
Okay.
at some levels. So yeah, I mean, you just
I
probably
don't
shredding it.
think that far out of the box. I need to start thinking out of the box.
It's, I watched a thing not long ago and it kind of changed how I think about. So whenever I'm a very big cooker, and I love to grill and smoke, and the guy was challenging the thought to some degree because he was somebody that does a lot of baking and at home cooking.
Okay.
And he said baking is a science, but play with it. And it's the idea that, and it is very specific. It's very much measurements. You may have to have a leavening agent, or but his thing was, I challenged that thought where you can still play around with recipes.
Right.
And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but you may do something that you're like, this really is. So, and he was just talking about adding, like, maybe try instead of zucchini, trying with carrots. Or, so it's keeping the base of things, but, because he made I think he called it the kitchen sink bread, and it's where he would cook with different, like, flours.
Okay.
But he had a bunch of flours and small amounts, so he combined all of them, mixed them, and then that was his flour amount for a bread. And he was like, I will never be able to replicate this, but this turned out really great.
Awesome.
But if you were to read a recipe, it would
only
not. This one kind, and he's like, so still play around with baking and certain things you need, obviously, it to be a very specific recipe. But so yeah, so
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, so quick breads, and I'm sure like all other years, Bonita will come on and she'll talk about other things with them in class and what that looks like. But I know that we've already gotten questions about that. We do have our cookbooks available from last year's contest, the brownies. So that those calls have been coming in. So if you have a request for one of those, just hit up Bonita or call the office. We can get those prepped out for you and have them ready on our counter. At the current, I know that some people have also asked, when is our move-in date into our new office? That is coming very quickly in the new year. It will be somewhere in the beginning of the new year. I don't have a date or really a time. The general idea was sometime in January is hopefully when we make that transition. We will let everybody know, because I'm sure we'll have growing pains where people will still try to go to the old office. We're in the new office, and we will do our best to communicate what that is when that happens, so then we can kind of limit that confusion. So it'll be good. It's so just a lot of things, end of year things that we have. It's the holiday season, just.
I think you have found, like, you showed me this morning, I think you found a treasure over there as you've been cleaning out the office.
Yes, yeah. So,
I love this. I think people are going to want copies of this as well.
So one of the things like anybody, so just like when you're moving an office, it's like moving your house, and you find things. And it's always interesting, and I've always said, even before we moved, the extension office is like a repository for things that people don't want. So every year that I've been in extension, somebody from the community will just show up with a box of
things.
ribbons. One of the big things that we get, unfortunately, are some of our homemakers. If the club is absorbed into a larger club, they will bring their historical documents into the office for us to keep. And we do so because that's part of the county's history. And one of the things that we did end up finding this year going through some of the stuff is it was information that Bonita kind of put together, and it was about the county fair, the first county fair. And this was in some of the homemakers' material because, oh my, some of our material that we have from the homemakers go back to the 30s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and that's just recent notes, minutes from meetings, and their historical stuff would obviously predate that. But so that was one of the things I brought in this morning. It's a paper that she had kind of put together with some of the information, and I wanted to read it because it's a very interesting thing as far as what is consumed or what is involved with it. So the first county fair in Decatur County was in 1852. The citizens of Decatur County must have been extremely proud back in 1852 when they staged the first Decatur County Fair. The county has progressed a great deal since those days of the mid-1800s, and the Decatur County Fair has progressed right along with the community to become the single most important annual event in which all citizens of the county may participate. The site of the first fair was in Hendricks Wood, north of Central Avenue between Broadway and Lincoln Streets. In 1859, the County Fair Society had purchased 28 acres north of First Street and west of Broadway, where the fairs were held for several years. Later, they were held east of town at Little's Park, near the present location of the Randall Company. About 1,875 acres north of the Oddfellow home were secured, and fairs were held there for many years.
Is that where the factories are at now?
So right? The Oddfellow home would be
Arbor Grove.
So north of so north of it would be probably where like Stones would be, the library. That would have been north of the Oddfellow home. Because the Oddfellow home, for those that maybe don't know, if you go to Rebecca Park, there still is a large planter.
Yes.
And it's a circle planter. That actually is where the statue of Rebecca stood. So if you look at old pictures of the Oddfellow home, and we're not talking about the assisted living facility that was rebranded.
Right.
It's the historic building, the Oddfellow home. And in the front of that used to stand a statue called the Rebecca statue, because in the fraternal order of the Oddfellows, there's usually a sorority that is the accompanying to the fraternal or order. So for the Oddfellows, the sorority are the Rebeccas, basically.
Okay.
So in the Oddfellows, that statue now exists actually at the State Oddfellow Association. It's in front of their building still, but that's where
it was.
The building used to stand, is in that area. So it would have been to the north of it, which would have been, well, now that I think about it, to the north of the Oddfellow actually would have been more like high school-ish area.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So it would have been maybe high school
and then that
and factories. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess you'd be correct. Yep. I'm sorry, my directionality was off a little bit there. So the interesting thing is it progresses as just prior to the turn of the century, the county fair was abandoned due to lack of interest, according to old newspaper reports. As a substitute for the fair, street fairs became popular. The first street fair was held in 1898 through 1912, with W.C. Pulse serving as the fair board president. The American Legion and the Eagles Lodge staged fairs here after 1912 in place of the county-run event. As a means of interesting farmers in the selection of seed corn, a show was held in 1923, sponsored by the Greensburg Daily News. In 1926, the idea of a county-wide agricultural fall fair was conceived. The fair, known as the Farmers' Fair of Decatur County, gained almost instant popularity with the community. The fair group, as it says in quotes, was reorganized in 1943 as the county leader sensed the need to upgrade the event. A meeting with each township in the county represented was held at the Decatur County YMCA. This group adopted a constitution and named Galen Greaves as its new president. The fair of the early 1940s was primarily a 4-H oriented activity. Of course, with emphasis on youth, that concept remains. It was agreed that the 4-H club program should be the backbone of every county fair, and that the idea, which has remained through the years, is popular across the nation. The Decatur County 4-H Fair was being held at the East End School Grounds in Greensburg in 1944, where the junior high school stands today. However, to make the show bigger and better, much planning and changing were initiated the following year. So with that, that's one of those where, is it the current junior high? Has that junior high been there since the 40s, or is there another junior high that existed?
Oh, I would say, because that's the only junior high I know of. I mean, like, we know the other elementary schools that are
Right.
no longer, but, ugh.
So, I don't know. As I read through this, there's a lot of those. So
We have lots of questions.
Yeah, it was not, however, until 1948 that the county fair moved its new home, then a 5-acre tract, which was finally expanded to contain approximately a total of 60 acres south of the present city-county park near Greensburg, which I believe is the current
area,
location.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
A concerned group of citizens, along with the county agricultural agent, which would be Extension, and the county commissioners, had worked on this project for many months. It was finally settled when the county sold the county home southwest of Sandusky, now the Jim Coy Farm, and purchased the entire farm south of the city park.
Okay.
City officials boldly embarked on a $22,000 for the purchase of the land and construction of a fair building at the new location. The first fair board in this location consisted of Gilman Stewart, Franklin Cray, Cecil Lawson, John Ed Helmick, Dale Lang, Raymond Callender, and Jack Hamilton, with Earl Brewer, county extension agent, and Gene Finley, home demonstration agent, serving as ex officio members. So I'm pretty sure the building they're talking about too is as far as the new location is the building that was upgraded from ours.
Yes.
So it was the original community building that was torn down, and then we had erected the new one. Right. Thus, the present Decatur County 4-H and Agriculture Fair began to take shape. Construction of a livestock barn and show arena, which would have become one of the most important buildings on the fairgrounds, began in 1950 at an estimated cost of $6,000, most of it being donated by citizens of the county. Pageantry was added to the annual Decatur County Fair back in 1958 in the form of the first Beauty Queen contest. Since that time, Decatur County lovelies have represented the community in the annual Miss Indiana State contest at Indianapolis. At this time, 4-H club enrollment in the county had skyrocketed to more than 700 boys and girls in 26 clubs. Work on the hog barn at the county fairground site began the following year, with additional new facilities or improvements made almost annually since that time, including the Farm and Home Center, which replaced the Farm Bureau tent, and the Bernie Baptist Church concession stand, which eliminated another tent. So that's currently the green building that we have on site, which would be the one that's by our, and it could have been renamed now that I think about it, because I'll have to do more research on that one.
Okay.
By 1958, almost 1,000 Decatur County youngsters ages 10 to 19 were enrolled in the youth movement, which had begun in 1916 with just over a dozen boys. The first club organized here was composed of boys who were interested in corn as their only project. Early local 4-H leaders included such widely known individuals as A.W. McCracken, agricultural instructor at Greensburg High School at that time, E.H. Duckworth, who held a similar position at the former Jackson High School, Mrs. Clifford Zetterberg, Miss Naomi Thurston, Miss Ruth Nelson, and Miss Mary McCullough. Although there were no records of girls' 4-H work as clubs until 1920, there were reports of individual gals with garden projects as early as 1917. Swine and poultry were added to the 4-H agricultural projects list this year after initial organization of the first club. The countywide program soon expanded to include a colt club as well as beef and health projects. Clothing and food preparation rounded out 4-H project activities by 1920. John Maxwell, youth extension agent here, was in charge of youth work for many years before taking a similar position in his own Ripley County in 1974. He established a goal of 1,200 youngsters in 1963 4-H membership drive. At that time, there were nearly 40 projects from which Decatur County boys and girls could choose, with the oldest project still among the more important and most well-liked. With a local supermarket purchasing the Grand Champion beef year since 1969, Records in livestock sales were established almost annually, reaching a peak of more than $63,000 in 1973 when Lewis Shorty Beasley barked his last 4-H auction here. Beasley had donated his talents in selling the 4-H livestock each year since the auctions began in 1965. Kenneth Owen has continued the sale since 1965, which continues today with Brian. It has been estimated that the total attendance for Fair Week probably ranges from 20,000 to 25,000 each year. Job is well done, mainly by volunteers of the county who have seen that the fair operates in the black each year with the help of a .009 property tax, so it would be 9,000th property tax assessment from taxpayers of the county. Donations from private citizens and businesses also help to provide necessary funding and support the fair. The extension services have been most helpful in making the Decatur County Fair the success that it has achieved. There are many names which are mentioned of some of those who have been active in the county fair. Some are Lynn Thurston, H. Hamilton, Earl Brewer, Kent Hagenow, Leon Johnson, Ron Bowerly, Cecil Lawson, Gene Finley, Kay Jones, Janine Ellsworth, and Gene Reed. Charles Bradley is the present 4-H educator. So and this is where I may have my times wrong, Charles Bradley would have been our agent in the 70s at some point when this would have been kind of information would have been rounded out. But that was just one of those fun things that found. And we actually had somebody donate. So it's interesting to read some of these dates because we have ribbons from some of those street fairs. So one of our the oldest ribbon that we have at the office is from 1912 or 1915 for the Fall Westport Street Fair.
How fun is that?
Yeah, and it's a tiny little like silk ribbon, and it's got gold embossed on it that lays it all out. But somebody that was a big rabbit shower. 4-H was very much a huge event where you got a ribbon and it was a coveted thing. So that family brought in, oh my gosh, the corn project ribbons, all of that. We used to have the original corn trophy.
Okay.
Basically, we had a couple of them at the office, and we ended up donating them to a local business, Stewart Seeds. They were the ones that originally sponsored it.
How fun.
And it went all the way back to the 20s. So we donated it to them because that's not a project, or it's a project we still do, but we don't do that trophy anymore, and they have it in their trophy case. But yeah, so that was just one of those cool, fun things I wanted to kind of read out.
Come across so many fun things, fun and interesting and historical.
And yeah, and I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm a little different than some people, but like just reading about some of the stuff it mentions like the Hendricks Woods.
Oh yeah, I love that. I feel like
North
we need
Central Avenue between Broadway and Lincoln Street. So then we need to
take a map and map out all of that.
Where all this was. So yeah, it's so it's interesting to kind of go through, but that just shows the investment of the county and where we stand. And 4-H has always been that backbone. We have pictures that go back to the 50s whenever it originally started.
Yes.
At the fairgrounds, and it's kind of cool. It's interesting to think about. It used to be in other areas around, and what that might have looked like, and so
what it's going to look like this year, right?
Yeah, it's going to be totally different. That's something that we are trying to work through in our office. What will that look like? How will we grow and change, and we'll have to adapt, and so that's where we're going to have some growing pains. Everything is not probably going to be perfect. We'll find little nuances that we'll have to overcome, but that's where I know our families are going to go on that ride with us, and I think once they see how much more efficient we will be able to be, it's going to make it better, because at the current time we have to bounce between 3-4 buildings, running stuff everywhere. There's a lag.
It's crazy.
It's going to be centrally located in one building, so if we need ribbons,
they're right there.
You just pop right in, hey, we need more ribbons, instead of sending a text, I'm in this building, I'm going to have to run back to, and it's going to make it hopefully a much more pleasing process for our 4-H families, and it's going to be a huge investment to the community as far as just having the event space and being able to bring people to the community, and so looking forward to it. So the first county fair was in 1852.
How fun. Well, Christopher, we wish you and your family a very Merry Christmas, as well as everyone down at the Extension office. Appreciate you guys coming in, all that you do, and sharing the news and what you learn and your quick tips. You have to have a quick tip for us. You always have something to tell us. Oh we've stumped him.
I didn't even think about that.
I mean, you brought us a lot of fun today, though.
We did, but what is a fun quick tip? I know I just did a big project, I went and did some more food preservation stuff, and did a program in a neighboring county. And it's always interesting whenever you talk about food preservation, because so many people are like, wait, how am I supposed to do it? What am I supposed to do? So one of the fun facts that I get questioned at sometimes, and this probably isn't as the most earth-shattering for people, but I like to share, is so whenever you are canning, so you're either hot water bath canning, boil water bath canning is what it's referred to as well, or pressure canning, people assume, I think, because you just learn, like grandma did it, so I learned, and that whenever the flat, which is the part that seals to the jar, it is somehow melting or molding that gasket to the jar. And one of the things that usually I see people's eyebrows go up like, wait, what? And not all the time, but there are some that what you're doing ultimately in the jar is you're creating a pressure difference. And it's actually just creating a mechanical seal where as that jar heats up, we want that jar to heat up, and we have to think about heat penetration. So that's why we have certain times. So we want to get to what's called the cold spot in the jar.
Okay.
And we want to heat that cold spot up to a certain temperature. And once we have done that, within our time pretty much stops, we allow it to cool down. But as we heat the internal of that jar and it cools down, it creates a vacuum in the jar. And it's physically pulling the lid onto the jar in. So that's where, as you hear that pop,
yeah,
it's where it's creating enough vacuum that it's pulling it down, and that seal is just conforming. It's not melting. It's not
just conforming.
It's just allowing that cushion to pull down on and seal. That's why it's really important that we wipe the rims down and we don't keep the rings on top. We pull those off when we store them. So that's one of those things where people are, I just thought that it like melted on or whatever, and it's where we're creating. So, I always compare it to if you were to put hot leftovers in your refrigerator in like one of the plastic storage containers, you pull it out the next day and it has sucked the lid down. It's the same principle. We're just doing it in a glass jar where it's pulling it down. So that could be your one kind of fun tip for the day.
There's our fun fact.
Yep.
You never leave us without one.
I try.
All right. Have a Merry Christmas, Christopher. We'll see you next year.
Thanks.
It's 11:08 on Tree Country 1330.